Okay, so good morning, Denise and Jill. Welcome to our first CL team session for TechFest. Today we're going to talk about the new quizzes in Canvas and go over that and answer any questions you have. Feel free to, since there's only two of you, just feel free to turn on your mic if you want a question. Just stop me. I'm fine with that, or just put it in the chat. Either way. Pretty easy to get going. We did start recording for this meeting, so if you want to go back and watch it later, that's possible. So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So today we're going to talk about how to take your classic quizzes in Canvas and make them the new quiz format in Canvas. We'll talk about adding questions, and in particular the new question types that the new quizzes offers. Go over some of the quiz settings and how to access SpeedGrader, and then talk about item banks, or as they were known before, question banks in the old quizzes. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So I'm going to jump in and out of the presentation here, go into Canvas and just show you guys kind of how it works live. So first we'll talk about importing classic quizzes. So pretty easy to do. You'll click the three dots next to a classic quiz and click migrate. And it will take some time to migrate depending on the size of the quiz, that kind of thing. But we'll do one here quickly this morning. And then you can then begin to add additional question types in the new quiz generator to work with that. So let's jump into Canvas and see what that looks like. So if I come here to my quiz right here, just a quick 3-question quiz, I can click three dots. I get the option to migrate. If I click that, it tells me that the migration is in process. And then we shall see. Oh, never mind. There it is. It comes in unpublished, but it did push it down here at the bottom. I thought it would come up to the top. So, okay. So we come in here. We see our new quiz. So a few different options right here. You can. So it does create the submission type as an external tool because it is the new quiz LTI that's being used in Canvas. You can't change that. But the assignment, assigning it to a specific section or sections for that matter, and your due date and that kind of thing is the same as it is across Canvas. But you'll notice here that you have the option to build a quiz. This is where you actually go get into the quiz editor itself and take a look at this stuff. So we see that we have the 3 question types that are 3 questions that I had in here. I just had multiple choice. You can edit each question and add new questions. So if I click the plus, it's going to give me the full list of questions that we can add. And the little piggy bank is an option to pull an item from your question bank or item bank. We'll talk about that in here a little bit. But some of the new questions that you can use with the new quizzes is the hotspot, where you can upload an image and select an area of the image students will click on to identify something as a hotspot. You can do ordering, so you can have them give them a list of items and they put them in order, chronological order, alpha order, whatever order they need to come in. You can do categorization, so you can filter items into a category. And then the last one down here below the line is stimulus, where you can give the students a video prompt or something to read, and they can then do that, respond to the question, and or respond to the questions you provide. And we'll go over each of these. I will actually jump into a different quiz real quick, because I have these question types already built out in a separate quiz. But I'll jump in there and show you guys what these look like. Let me go back to the slides real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything else. So yeah, adding new questions. So we'll look at that part next. So the new questions are new quizzes questions. Come in here and we'll look at each of those. So the first one I have here is a hotspot. So I have put up a map of Tippecanoe County, ask students to identify, or a map of Indiana, I'm sorry, and I ask students to identify Tippecanoe County. So you'll see that when you edit this, do the question bank, you can take this and you can draw the hotspot shape. So if I want to be somewhere else, I can draw it. That's the area the students want to click on. But for our purposes, we'll make that it. You can also draw with an oval or it's a polygon tool, so you can kind of make your own little shape. For my purposes, the square works well because Tippecanoe County is nice and square. So, and then that is essentially the hotspot question. You can only put one hotspot per image. It doesn't allow you to put multiple. And I'm not sure exactly the reason, but part of the reason is I know that right now, at least new quizzes, I know Canvas is trying to work on it. But new quizzes does not offer partial credit. That's not something that we can do at this point in time. Hopefully, maybe by fall, we'll have that functionality added in so we can maybe have options to have more than one hotspot. So the next one is categorization, is what I have here. So I have it broken out in primary colors, not primary colors. And so what students would be asked to do is to drag and drop the items into the correct category. And then building this out really is pretty easy. So what you would do is you would just have a column, the correct answers that go with that column, and then your next column, correct answers. And you can have more than two categories. You can have multiple categories that you do. And then you can also have additional distractors that you can put in. So understandably, pink does fit in the not primary colors, but just as an example, I have that as an additional distractor, and you can put as many of those as you want in there as well. I'm not sure if there actually is a limit of how many categories you can have. It's let me add quite a few here. I figured eventually at some point it will stop me, but I don't know what that number actually is. So, but at this point I have 11 categories, and that's quite a bit. So, and I don't know if there's a limit to how many answers you can have per category. It looks to be quite a large number as well. So you can just keep adding a whole bunch of stuff. Again, this is, because Canvas does not offer partial credit right now, so this is an all or nothing question. So students would have to sort each thing into each one, and it would be worth however many points you make it worth. It's all or nothing at this point. Any questions on those first two before we move on? No? Okay. The next one I have here is a stimulus. I have a reading passage I put up, but what's great about this is you do get access to, when you go to edit, you get access to the rich content editor, so you can really do just about anything you can do on a page or an assignment in Canvas can be done right here. So you can upload images, YouTube video, add an external link, really do all kinds of stuff. You can get pretty creative with all this. I just added in a essentially Kobe Bryant's Wikipedia article and put it in here. And you can also put the source URL if you wish, or where you got the information. So if you want students to go read that on the page itself. And then on this side, you can ask questions. I just asked a single multiple choice question. But what's pretty great about this too is that there we go. So you can add different types of questions, that kind of thing too. So you can add all, multiple choice or anything like that. So get rid of that guy. Remove. But yeah, we can attach a question. There you go. That's what I was looking for, is this little menu that pop up. You can do anything except for a second stimulus question. So you still get the options to do ordering, categorization, and hotspot questions from the stimulus here as well. So pretty great dynamic question. And again, this counts as one question. So I feel like a broken record, but it is an all or nothing deal. So students have to answer all the questions correctly with this stimulus. But there's nothing that says that you can't put the same stimulus multiple times and ask multiple questions to differentiate those answers and that kind of thing. So there's ways to work around that right now. So and then the last one, ordering, pretty straightforward. You'll just put in the order or the items you want to order, and then give the students the directions of what they're supposed to do, and they can go through and do each of these, and you can have them put in order. For my purposes, just put them in alphabetical order. And so they would just drag and drop each of these questions when they go in here and work on it. Are there any questions about the new question types?
Chad, I do have one question.
Sure.
With the user end for the word processing, does it have the same capabilities as a Google Doc?
Are you talking about like the stimulus question?
Right. If students would do a short essay. I also saw there was an option as a file upload. So I was wondering, would my students rather upload a Google Doc or use this word processing tool within the quiz?
So I think you can actually do either. So if you do a file upload question, let's take a look at this real quick. So it looks like we can restrict file types. I'm guessing as a student you can upload a PDF, probably a Google Doc, that kind of thing. Sarah, do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, I just responded. I think, in my opinion, if you're asking the students, like you're really concerned with the document formatting, I would do a file upload question. If you're more concerned about the content, right? Like I just want the students to submit an essay, then the rich content editor, like in an essay question, is going to be enough for the students. So they do still get some document editing where they can bold, italicize, underline, number, bullet points, that kind of stuff. But if you're looking for something that's a little more formal, I would do a file upload.
Good deal. Are there any other questions? So one thing that is great is that the new quizzes, they didn't take anything away. We just added 4 new question types in. So you have everything that was available to you before and then some. So all that's still there. Okay, I'm gonna jump back over to our slides real quick and present. And then, so you will notice that when you create a new quiz, and let's run through that real quick as well when we create a new one. So if I go plus quiz, I'm going to get a prompt now that's going to ask me, do I want to create a classic quizzes, or would I like to use the new quiz engine? And for my purposes, I would probably always create new quizzes because I can do everything I could do before and then some. And you can also say that, if you just want to continue using the new quizzes, that you can say remember my choice, and going forward it'll just automatically create a new quiz for you. You don't have to choose this each time. So it just depends on what you're after, but like I said, I would think that eventually, I'm not sure if there's a date at this point in time, but the classic quizzes are going to go away. But I would just continue using new quizzes and work in that for the time being.
So currently the date is next summer,
okay.
But that's still not a hard date because I think the glaring issue is the partial credit. So if you are worried about that partial credit piece, that will be figured out prior to them retiring classic quizzes.
Okay, good deal. Okay, so again, so accessing the quiz settings, when you create the quiz, you have the same options to sync your grade book, that kind of thing. The one new option is that you can save and publish the quiz, but you also have this build button here where you can actually, you go in to actually edit the questions of the quiz itself. So again, click build on the quiz settings page and then click return when you're done editing. What's kind of nice here is, I remember with classic quizzes, you always had to click save, and I did this all the time when I was in there messing around with question types, I would make a question and then I would use the back button or navigate out of that, and it didn't save any of my changes. And so this one kind of saves on demand as you work. So it is a little nicer, a little quicker, and hopefully avoids that pitfall for you. And then you can access the quiz in SpeedGrader. So if you open your Canvas gradebook, which I don't have any students, so I don't have a gradebook at this point or any quizzes in there to show you, but you can actually open, you can open the SpeedGrader from the gradebook and view the quiz from within there, so you can see all the student questions and responses all at once, and see which questions they missed, which ones they got right, that kind of thing. But all pretty straightforward stuff there, I think. And then, so we have a guide that we put together on item banks, and that's linked here in the presentation. I can also throw you guys the link in the chat as well. There we go. There's that, but item banks are a little different. So when we're in a new quiz and we're editing a question, we have the ability to actually add an item to a question bank or an item bank right from the editor, which wasn't the case before. So if I go to edit one of my questions here, and this is already in a bank, so I can go through and do this. Which one is it? That's weird. Does the hotspot question, it's a little different, isn't it? Like, do I have to, maybe because it's already in an add-on bank, I can't add it. I don't think I have all of them there that way. Let me look at this one. I'm pretty sure this one is not in a bank. Yes, there you go. So we have the item banking thing. So I just click add to bank, and it will show me, I can choose from my existing item banks. So I have my new quizzes item bank. I can just drop it into there quickly, and it's already filed away, ready to go. So if I need to access it at a later date, if I'm making like a final exam or something like that, when I want to just pull questions from previous tests, I can just quickly go through, check all those, check the questions I want to grab, and create a new quiz pretty quickly that way without having to rewrite all my questions. Pretty quick and easy to do. Yeah. Okay. And then there is also a way to migrate your question banks. And it's quite an involved process, but this document's pretty good. It's got a lot of pictures. It's very detailed, to the T. To go through and do all that, it's a bit of a process. But like I said, once you migrate them, it's done. You don't have to worry about it anymore, and work on that. So please, when you have time, feel free to work through this. And if as always, if you have any questions on that kind of thing, feel free to reach out to our team. We're happy to help fix and work on those things for you. Any questions about any of this? No? Okay. And then any questions overall over anything we've talked about at this point?
I did have a question about moderating in new quizzes.
Yes.
When I used one of my new quizzes, it seemed different than the old ones, and I didn't feel really fluent on it. So if you could explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so, well, I don't have a lot to show you right here, but if I were to click on moderate, you can from here give additional attempts if you're only allowing certain attempts for the quiz. So I can up that, and if I'm setting a time limit, I can give additional time here. So I can say that, maybe they get a few additional hours to complete that quiz and that kind of thing. And then once they have the log will be here. You can click on it and you can see, how much time they spent on certain questions. And then if they tabbed out of the quiz or were on a different tab other than the quiz at any given time. And I know you guys are all secondary, so you guys also have access to Dino, so you're able to kind of lock them down even further than Canvas will allow you to do. Just a shameless plug for Dino. If you are giving a quiz, you can create a blocking plan that says they're only allowed to get access Canvas, and if they try to open a new tab, they're stuck anyways. There's nothing they can really do. But that's probably a conversation for a different day. And if you want help with that, please feel free to reach out to us. What questions, I guess, did you have specifically, Denise? Is there anything we can help you answer?
I think that covers it.
Okay.
I just had an issue with trying to create a new attempt for a student. It
Okay.
was different, and I didn't know if you could show me that, how to create a new attempt.
Yeah, so you click on the moderate button, and then you're able to bump up or down the attempts. Well, you can't go -1, but, but yeah, you can add additional attempts for per student, that kind of thing. So.
And I believe once students start taking these quizzes in here on this page, if a student finished early, but they didn't actually finish, let's say they got pulled out of class in the middle of their quiz, this is also the area where you can unlock their original attempt. So you're no longer having to, like, the kid doesn't have to take the quiz again. You can open up the quiz that they already started so that they can continue that quiz. That would all be on this page under moderate.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Hey, Chad, will you just run through the settings area?
Yes.
Just show some of the options, like the one right next to build there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if we go to new quizzes. Okay. So you got the option to sync to PowerSchool here. You can put it in your assignment groups for PowerSchool grading, that kind of thing. Set your point limits, point totals, and then the option to save, that kind of thing. What else do you want to look at, Sarah?
Go ahead and click build again.
Okay.
And then at the top, you have build settings reports.
Okay, settings right here, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where you're able to go through and you can shuffle your question order for your students, which can help secure tests a little bit. Shuffle answer order for each of your students. And this is personal preference. I'm not sure what the students seem to like, but you can allow for one question at a time. And then also, if you do that, you can allow them to go back to previous questions to review them before they submit, or you can disallow backtracking, so they can't go back. This is where you require an access code, so you can set your own unique password for the quiz. You can set your time limits, filter by IP address, that kind of thing. So you make sure students are at school when they take the quiz. And then allow a calculator. You can allow a basic or a scientific calculator, depending on what kind of questions you do. Multiple attempts, and then the student result view. So you can show points awarded, when they submit, show possible points per question, and then show items and questions. So you can do a whole bunch of stuff. You can have the students see their responses and feedback. Those can all be things that you can put in there.
I have a question, Chad.
Sure.
I have not myself done this, but my co-teacher has done this. She can control if the kids see their score at the end of the quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Is this where I would control that from?
Yes. So I think the result view, we can. So if it's unchecked, it's going to hide this result, so the students won't be able to see their overall score and score per question. If you leave this unchecked, if you check it, they're going to be able to see their score and review how they did immediately after submitting. Otherwise, if you leave this unchecked, they won't be able to see any of that until you release the grades to them or the scores to them.
Awesome.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Any other questions at this point?
I do have one last question. It seems like when you migrated one of your old quizzes, your old quiz was still available. Is that true?
Yes, I believe it essentially copies it into the new quiz generator, but your original stays intact. So if you want to continue using the old quiz, you can do that. So it doesn't destroy the original one.
And it indicates it by, I think, Chad, if you go back to your quizzes page,
Yeah.
you'll see it.
The icon,
One of them is
just
like
a little bit different.
Yeah, one of them is a filled in. So the new quiz is a filled in rocket.
Right.
Classic quizzes is an outlined rocket.
Yeah, so yeah. Oh wait. Oh, there it is. It did put them together once I refresh the page. But yeah, so yeah, filled in rocket, unfilled rocket. So filled in rocket is new, unfilled is old. It's not super different, but it is different. So, but yeah, so you keep your original plus your new create a quiz. So depending on what you need to do. So if you're worried about what happens to your original quiz, don't worry about destroying it, because like I said, it is just a copy. So
I just have one last comment. If you are using ExamView, if you happen to use ExamView for this, I just heard this tip from some other districts. You cannot import directly to a new quiz using ExamView, but we can import to a classic quiz and then migrate it using that migrate tool. So you can still use ExamView questions if anybody uses those.
And then also one thing I didn't mention, and this isn't specific to quizzes, but it is a pretty nice feature. Canvas has these send to, copy to. So send to is essentially you can share a quiz or something like that with a colleague. But copy to would allow you to essentially copy this one quiz to a different course. So if you want to put it in a sandbox and work on it, or if you have it in a sandbox and you want to copy it to one of your PowerSchool courses, you can then copy it to any one of these and move it over pretty quickly. It does take time to migrate, but it will show up eventually. So Jenny did say that at times we do have some trouble. So copying to a sandbox seems to work pretty well. And then copying from that sandbox to a PowerSchool course seems to fix it, but it's not always a problem. So yeah, just one of those things we notice sometimes, just ways to work around it. So and then Camden, I saw you put a question in there. Oh, so after you migrate, yeah, migrating question banks can be time consuming because it can involve a lot of questions. So it could take time for it to, and you don't have to like sit there and watch it migrate. You can move on with your day and close the window or whatever. It'll work in the background once you start that process, and it'll be ready for you at some point. So you don't have to, like watch paint dry. You can move on with your day, and it'll be there for you later when you're ready. So it just, if you want to migrate and think it's going to be there in like 2 minutes, it may not be, depending on the questions. So good deal. Okay. Any other questions to this point? So for attending today, you do get PGPs. So you can follow this bit.ly down here. I will put it in the chat as well if you want to copy and paste it from there. But you can go there, fill out the form, get your PGPs for attending today. Again, this is recorded, so if you want to reference it again, you can watch it again at any time. And if after this you think about something, have a question, as always, feel free to send our team an email. We're happy to help in any way we can. So even if it's not about Canvas quizzes per se, just anything Canvas related, we're happy to help. And I guess for that matter, anything tech related. So we're more than happy to get you the help you need. So any other questions for the day? I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.